Alright guys, so this week on Shop Chronicles we're going to be pulling the transmission out of our 94 Chevy C1500. Reverse has gone out in it, so we're going to rebuild it. But right now, getting ready to pull the drive line out of it. So we're going to start back here at the diff. We're going to pull these four 11mm bolts here. And then use a pry bar to separate the rear. Once we get the U-joint straps off, and then we'll come up here to the middle right here. You can see those, hopefully. Pull those two 15mm nuts. You'll have to hold the top head of the bolt right there, right about here. That's also a 15. Pull those, that way we can get the carrier loose, and then we'll come up here to the back of the transmission and we'll actually pull this entire slip yoke out of the back of the transmission. It'll drain all of our transmission fluid. We'll put a bucket underneath it and catch all that. But once I get the drive line out, I'll show you guys what we're gonna do next. Alright, so we got the drive line out. You can see it laying there. Got it off the diff back here. There's the carrier, the front slip yoke, which we pulled out of the back of the transmission here. So you can see it's leaking a little bit. Alright, so what we're going to be doing next here is pulling the exhaust off. We're going to separate it right here. It's cut back here where the puppy's hanging out at. So we're going to pull that section off, and then we're actually going to pull the whole Y pipe off. It goes around over here and then up over there as well on those three there. And then once I get the Y pipe off, we'll go with getting this rear transmission cross member out, and I'll show you that once I get to it. Alright, so we've gotten the Y pipe out. It's sitting up there now. Just slid it forward off of this pipe here and then pulled the O2 sensor out of it, which goes in the catalytic converter up there, and then also pull the mounting bolts down from the exhaust manifolds right up there on the passenger side, and then come over here to the driver's side. As you can see, I had one break off there, so I'll have to drill that out or something. We'll get it figured out later once the transmission's out. But now we're going to go ahead and pull off. Come back here, wiring harness connector there, and then the shift linkage, I'm gonna pull that off. Then we also have our wiring harness over here on this side, the big connector there, and then just in front of that I'll come over here and pull both of our transmission cooler lines that run up to the front. So we'll get all those out of the way. Oh, we'll also have to pull the dipstick tube up and out to pull that up out through the top, and this guy will come right down once we get there. So I'll show you once I get all those parts off. Alright, so to get the two transmission harness connectors out, this one here, you have to pry on this tab here, pry it down. There's the same one here up on top. Pry it up. I've already done that, and it'll just pull out just like that. You can see it's a little wet. The seal inside there is leaking past inside the sensor, so when we rebuild this, we'll probably buy a new one, so we don't have to worry about that issue anymore. Then we'll come over here to our other harness connector. As you can see right up here, you can see one tab right on this side right here where my finger's at. There's one on the opposite side. You just pinch them together, and then it'll just pull up on the harness. Let me switch sides here, get my other hand up here. I'm gonna show you here how to do that. So pinch on both sides, Let's see here. Alright, so this connector here on the side of the transmission, you'll pinch both sides here. This side right here where my thumb's at, and my index finger come around to the other side, pinch together, lift up, pull it out just like that. Got your O2 sensor here that can just be pulled up out of the way. And then next I'll show you, we'll get the two trans cooler lines off and then we'll go from there. Alright, so we got the harness completely off. You can see all the connectors and everything are sitting over here. There's a little bracket right here where my finger's at that goes up on the side of the transmission where that little bolt is right there. You can see that. And we'll come back over to this side here real quick. Just show you right up top there. Two trans cooler lines are off. And you can see that one bolt way up there. That's for the transmission dipstick tube. Pull that bolt out and that little bracket goes over to the dipstick tube and that'll just pull right out of the top of the transmission now. I haven't pulled that yet because I don't want to make a mess all over myself when I come up here to pull this piece off right here. So next we're going to pull the torque converter cover off here. There's a 10mm bolt right here. There's one up here on the side, actually up. Yeah. Won't block the light there. You can kind of see it right there, right here. Then there'll be two on the other side over here as well in the same spots. This cover will come off. Then we can undo the torque converter from the flywheel. And then the other thing I still have left, we'll drop the starter down possibly. Might be able to leave that up there, not sure yet. And then we'll come back over here and finish taking off the linkage right here. You can see I already have the nut loose, but in case I need to shift the transmission into neutral so I can rotate the engine and everything over to undo the torque converter bolts, I left a linkage on there for right now. So we'll get that cover off up front. I'll show you what inside there looks like after I get it off. Alright, so we've got the torque converter cover off. You can see it laying there. The pup's over there watching. There's the cover. Goes around the starter as well, so I think we'll be able to leave the starter because I should be able to clear it. Now you can see the torque converter. Let's go up here and see if we can't see the bolts that we're going to have to take out. So there is one of them. Let's see here if I can get some better light on it for you guys. I think that's about all the better we're going to get right there. There's actually here. There's a better one right over here. This one right here. There's going to be 3 or 4 of them, I believe. Looks like on this one, we're probably going to have 3 because we got one here. There's one just right up in there that you can kind of see the top of. We'll just have to rotate the engine over to get that one. Get those out. Torque converter will come out or with the transmission, and then we'll be able to pull everything back and get it out. So I'll show you once I get the bolts out of the torque converter. Alright, so we got the 3 torque converter bolts out here. Yeah, this one did only have 3 of them, you can see. Last one there is missing. You just rotate the engine around, get the other 3 or other 2. And then I did end up pulling the 2 starter mounting bolts that go up in those 2 holes right there. There's a starter. I just hung it on those transmission lines. It's not very heavy. Left all the wires attached. I have the battery disconnected, so we're not going to have any problems there. I just feel a little more comfortable with it being out of the way so we don't have any issues with it. We'll go ahead and get the shift linkage off and then get the rear cross member out of the way. And then the last thing that'll be holding us up is the bell housing bolts. And of course the dipstick tube over here that I still gotta pull out, but that'll be last so I don't make a big old mess all over myself. We'll come back once I have the linkage off and the transmission cross member out. Alright, so I got the transmission shift linkage off. Pulled that nut over there. You can see kind of way up here. Right there, there's the little bracket. There's the where it goes. There's the little bracket that splines onto it. Pull the nut off, push everything over. There's a spring on there that'll allow you to kind of push it over. We'll just kind of keep it held out of the way when I go to drop transmission down. You should, to do the transmission cross member, there's supposed to be a transmission bolt holding for the rear mount right there, but apparently this transmission's been out before, and they didn't want to put that one back in. So we'll come back here, and we got 2 bolts on this side, 1 and 2 right here, and then we'll come back over to the driver's side where we'll have another 2 bolts right here. Have to hold the top of the wrench, pick up on the transmission pan a little bit with the jack. I don't have a transmission jack, so we'll just use a board to go kind of spread the weight out on that pan. Jack it up, slide this cross member back, hold it with the jack, and then we'll pull the bell housing bolts and slide this thing back. Alright, so I got the 4 bolts out, 2 on this side, 2 on this side. They're 18mm heads, the nuts are 18mm. Just pulled them out. I'm going to jack the transmission up a little bit. That way I can slide this cross member back and then get it all the way out of my way. The only thing left holding us will be the bell housing bolts that go all the way around the transmission. Let's see if you can kind of see those. Let me show you those real quick. There's 2, 1 here, 1 just above it. There's another one up a little bit farther, I believe. It's got another bracket on it. You can kind of see it from back here. Let's see if we can't zoom in. Right up top there is where it's at. We already pulled that one out on that side, so we got 2 left right there. 1. And then the other one's a stud just below it. That one that's kind of in the middle there, that's a dowel. There's a dowel on both sides for the transmission, and that way it just kind of helps hold it on there and make sure it's aligned correctly. We'll have to pry it off of there, but I will come back and show you once we have the transmission out.